All right, everyone, the plot thickens around the Whitehouse cocaine scandal. Of course, you'll remember some time ago a bag of cocaine was left in the White House. It wasn't initially clear where it was even left. Was it in a library? Was it in a little cubby near where the press corps enters and generals and people like that? Was it in an office? We weren't exactly sure. It turns out that it's actually in an area that's used for briefings, the briefing room specifically, and cocaine was found. We're also not sure of the amount of cocaine. You see, there's a little bit of a difference. A couple grams, someone's just having a couple of quick key bumps before the meeting. You know, they need to keep up their energy in order to plan wars and stuff like that. Or it could be a larger amount. Hey, I'm going out with my friends later. Oh, I got so blitzed I forgot my Coke. Whoops. I'll count on the big guy to have my back on that one. It turns out that now we've got new news on this, which is that somebody in Biden's orbit was the one that left the cocaine there. For some reason, we're still not getting a name. Now, there are several possible perps here. Number one is Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden frequently visits Daddy in the White House, totally doesn't talk about any of his business endeavors while doing so. And he's known to use crack and coke and a number of other substances while he's on one of his cavorting binges with prostitutes, usually while cheating on the widow of his dead brother, which is actually a thing with a stripper that he then impregnated. And then Joe Biden wouldn't even acknowledge the child until, literally this month. They're all scumbags. It's a white trash presidency. Well, presidency in name. Of course, not legitimate one. Another one, though, people may not recall this. Back at the end of the 2000s, Ashley Biden was filmed snorting cocaine at one point. Yes, substance abuse runs deep in the Biden family. When you've got a dad like that, you can't really blame Hunter or Ashley for wanting to get coked up so that they can hopefully get past the fact that their abusive father, literally, according to Ashley, by the way, is a complete fucknut. And so it could be hers as well. It could still be, it could have been Buttigieg or someone. They're just saying it's somebody within his orbit. So probably not a general. It wasn't a member of the press corps or something like that. It wasn't a random tourist, which is initially what they were saying. Well, some tourist on a tour managed to bring cocaine into the White House. My biggest thing at the time, and it remains that way, I mean, most of this is just funny. Thinking about someone getting coked up in the White House and happens to be one of Biden's kids or something like that. Again, if this happened when Trump was president, it would have been front page news for a goddamn month. You know it, I know it, the liberals know it too. The real concerning factor, though, is that the White House security detail, the Secret Service and so forth, didn't manage to find the coke for an extended period of time. It could have been there for days in the cubby. They didn't know it was there. Apparently, there's no screening protocol for people. If you're in favored status when you go in, they don't even pat you down or something like that. That could be a considerable problem under different circumstances. Now, I don't think that Biden's kids would do this, or Biden's inner circle. Can you imagine some Julius Caesar moment, though, in which some political insider snaps for some reason? Maybe it's personal, maybe it's political. Politicians are subject to emotion. Well, some of them aren't psychopaths. They're subject to emotion the same way you or I are. In normal, common, everyday people, occasionally somebody snaps. They have just had something really catastrophic happen, a spouse died or something. They go completely apeshit and they kill someone. Shouldn't people, including the inner circle of the president, be at least modestly checked when they go in the White House? If Hunter Biden walks in, he can go around the metal detector probably too. What if he's cracked up and he snaps? That is always a possible concern. I would think that the security protocol there needs to be changed. At the very least, we now know, since they're saying it was somebody directly associated with Biden, at least we know it wasn't one of the security people themselves, so they're not getting high on the job. That's good. It wasn't a diplomat, so they're not hiding the identity of the person for any diplomatic reason. It wasn't a foreign head of state or someone in Biden's inner circle. That really narrows it down. A high-level staffer, a family member, or one of the members of the cabinet. That's basically the list of people. I would say that the top three suspects, therefore, are Hunter Biden, known drug user, Ashley Biden, known drug user, and Pete Buttigieg, likely drug user. And cocaine would definitely be the kind of drugs that he and his wife or husband, I'm not sure who's the top, or maybe they're switches. They presumably use a little bit of a bump once in a while. You know, you get older and have a few problems, and it's like he doesn't want to have to go fill the prescription for a libido enhancer. So he's like, Coke will do plenty. Coke is fine. I would say those are the three top suspects. Regardless, though, again, it is a scandal. A drug that Joe Biden was the tough on crime 94 bill signee, talking constantly, back in the 90s and 2000s about how we needed to get tough on this drug shit. Until it came out publicly that both of his children are on drugs. All of a sudden, he changed his tone slightly. If you're going to be, and Kamala was a big-time prosecutor, the 3 strikes rule implemented vigorously on people for simple possession. To upgrade that to a felony charge, when they had a half an ounce of weed or something. I'm sorry, but this rule, we're getting 10, 15 years in prison. There are people that are in prison right now because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris being tough on drug crimers, and yet you got Coke in the White House. Maybe it was Biden's Coke. Obviously he needs various substances just to get through the fucking day. We know that he takes prune smoothies to make his poo-poo. He gets administered bran muffins for fiber to make the poo-poo easier. He's definitely on anti-Alzheimer's meds. By the way, he probably borrows some from Feinstein now and again. He borrowed some the other day. Feinstein had another fall. But don't worry, the 90-year-old woman who is completely incoherent is perfectly capable of serving in the role on the Senate. I think not. I'll be talking about that in my New Tech exclusive today. By the way, subscribe to me on one of those other platforms, links in the description. BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, and Minds. The other places, you get an extra video clanking every single day. What's not to love? But it is a scandal. It would have been upheld as a major one under most other administrations. Even under the Obama administration, people would be making jokes about Obama snorting the coke. Since he admits to it in his own autobiography, some people would find that believable. It would have melted down into a political issue and been very funny, but it would have been talked about. The legacy media would have covered it. Under Bush, it would have been talked about. It would have been, people would be making memes and jokes, and back then, little flash images of George W. snorting coke off of an oil barrel or something like that. Dick Cheney left it there. That's what caused his latest heart attack. He's on heart number 3, I think, actually, at this time. He hasn't had a new one in a while. I'll have to swap it out for another little St. James kid's heart at some point in the future when they off one that's a possible donor. But under Trump, it would have been, though, massive news. It would not have been let go of. You'd be hearing about it now. You'd be hearing it literally years later. You'd still be hearing about it. It'd be used as political fodder. Well, Donald Trump was snorting coke in the White House, or one of his stupid kids, Don Jr. Don Jr. is rumored to enjoy the occasional coke, but we know it's not his. No, we know it's probably one of Biden's kids. Which one? Was it the one that just got addicted because he's party boy stoner type? Or was it the one that Joe Biden allegedly molested in the shower? And she's trying to get past the mental image of her then already, I think, 40 or 50-something father diddling her in the shower. These are sick people. But if you bring it up, you're called a conspiracy theory. Well, the coke's real, although they originally they said, well, it's just a white powder. They're not sure that it's cocaine. Oh, a tourist brought it in. I'm sure it couldn't be anyone that we know to be a drug user that brought drugs into the White House, which would again indicate Hunter or Ashley Biden as the top suspects. It couldn't possibly be them. They tried to blame some random tourist who was taking a tour of the briefing room. That doesn't even happen. That particular part of the building I don't even think is tourist accessible. I think that's a secured part of that particular spot in the West Wing, if I remember correctly. That it's the area where people, the press corps and the generals and shit meet and stuff like that. I don't think that they allow just anyone to go in there. And if the Secret Service saw someone putting a little white bag in the cubby, probably, I would assume that someone would ask a question. Unless the person isn't being tailed by Secret Service because they're known as a family member. Or they're a cabinet member or something. So, at a glance, the Secret Service is going to know who Pete Buttigieg is. They're going to know who Biden's family is. They visit constantly. So that's, I think, what happened. Very, very funny, but also rather concerning, the lack of security in the White House. Again, under other circumstances, it would be A-plus grade news. Instead, we get a couple of takes when there's an update, and then it quickly dies down. That's because they don't want to trouble the big guy that they're circling the wagons for. That's about all. Peace out.